When a group of friends starts sharing stories about their early years, their 7th birthday, the layout of their childhood home, or a specific family vacation, you probably sit quietly and nod. You smile. You pretend to relate. But internally, you are staring into a massive, unsettling void. You have a blank space where your continuous autobiographical memory should be. If someone asks you to recall specific events before the age of 10 or even 15, you can only retrieve scattered fragments. A blurry image here. A vague feeling there. You know the factual details of where you lived and what school you attended, but the emotional, first-person narrative timeline of who you were simply does not exist. You probably laugh it off. You tell people that you just have a terrible memory, or you write it off as a harmless personality quirk. That is a profound biological illusion. Your brain did not casually misplace those years. It executed a highly sophisticated emergency protocol. What you are experiencing is not a passive absence of memory. It is an active, metabolically expensive process of systemic suppression. You did not forget your childhood. Your nervous system actively locked it away to ensure your survival in an environment it deemed fundamentally unsafe. In the next few minutes, we will explore the profound and often misunderstood reality of autobiographical memory loss. We will dissect the exact neurological mechanisms that force your brain to redact its own history. We will expose why this invisible firewall is currently destroying your capacity for deep emotional intimacy. And most importantly, we will reveal why trying to aggressively force yourself to remember is the most dangerous thing you can do. Write this down immediately. The void in your mind is not a sign that you are broken. It is a monument to your survival. Let us look at the clinical architecture of the human mind. First, we must understand the fundamental distinction between a memory that naturally fades and a memory that is actively redacted. Normal memory decay is like an old photograph left in the sun. The colors blur, the sharp edges soften, but the general outline of the picture remains intact. Traumatic memory loss, however, is completely different. To understand this, you must stop thinking of your mind as a library where a few books simply went missing from the shelves over time. That is not what happened to you. Your library was flooded. When a catastrophic flood hits a building, the architect does not just let the books sit there to rot. The most dangerous, toxic, and overwhelming materials are quickly gathered and sealed away in heavy, waterproof vaults deep underground to prevent the entire structure from collapsing. You still have access to the upper floors. You still have semantic memory, which means you know the factual details of your life. But your episodic memory, the emotional sense of actually being there and feeling the water, has been entirely locked in the vault. This severance comes with a massive, invisible price tag. Keeping those heavy vault doors locked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is metabolically exhausting. You might think that not remembering your past means you have successfully moved on from it. You are entirely wrong. Your nervous system is constantly burning energy to maintain this psychological firewall. This is why you frequently experience an internal emptiness, a persistent brain fog, or an unexplainable, heavy fatigue by 3 in the afternoon. It is also the reason why quiet moments terrify you. When you lie in bed at night, or when you sit in silence without the distraction of a screen, the firewall requires more conscious effort to hold up. Your nervous system immediately floods your body with adrenaline to distract you, forcing you to pick up your phone or overwork yourself just to avoid looking at the vault. To understand why your brain chose this extreme strategy, we must look at the neurobiology of trauma. Deep within your temporal lobe, there are 2 structures locked in a perpetual struggle: the hippocampus and the amygdala. Think of the hippocampus as your meticulous librarian. Its job is to take the raw, chaotic experiences of your day, attach a clear timestamp to them, organize them into a coherent narrative, and file them neatly on the shelves of your long-term memory. It gives your life a continuous story. The amygdala, on the other hand, is your biological alarm system. Its only job is to scan the environment for threats and initiate the fight, flight, or freeze response. When a child grows up in an environment characterized by chronic stress, emotional neglect, volatility, or overt trauma, the amygdala becomes constantly hyperactive. The alarm bell never stops ringing. Under this continuous flood of cortisol and stress hormones, the hippocampus physically struggles to encode memory. The librarian is paralyzed by the noise. Because the hippocampus cannot properly timestamp and file these experiences, The brain makes a brutal, evolutionary calculation. It bypasses the librarian entirely. It takes these overwhelming experiences and stores them directly in the amygdala as raw, somatic, emotional data, completely stripped of narrative context. You do not remember the story of what happened, but your body remembers the exact feeling of the danger. This creates a psychological phenomenon known as survival-driven structural dissociation. Your mind literally segregates its resources to protect your functional selfhood. One part of your personality is designated to hold the terror, the sadness, and the fragmented somatic memories. That part is locked away behind the firewall. The other part of your personality, the apparently normal part, is strictly tasked with navigating daily life. This part goes to school, gets a job, pays the bills, and smiles politely at social gatherings. It is highly functional, but it operates with zero access to the emotional depth of the past. You made a core survival trade-off. As a child, you are biologically dependent on your caregivers. If your environment is unsafe, you cannot fight and you cannot flee. You must attach. But you cannot attach to someone while consciously remembering that they are causing you profound distress. So, to survive, you traded your timeline for your attachment. You sacrificed your autobiographical continuity so that you could maintain a functional relationship with the people keeping you alive. You survived the environment, but the protective mechanism that saved you back then is now actively hijacking your adult reality. This brings us to the lived impact of your redacted memory. You cannot selectively numb human emotion. When you deploy a neurological firewall to block out the terror of your past, you inadvertently block out your capacity to feel deep joy, connection, and peace in the present. You live in a state of emotional mutedness. You experience the world through a thick pane of frosted glass. You are physically present, but you feel entirely disconnected. Furthermore, because you lack a continuous self-narrative, you suffer from a chronic sense of identity instability. You constantly feel like an imposter because you do not have the foundational memories that tell you who you actually are. This profoundly affects your relationships. Intimacy, true emotional intimacy, requires the sharing of a continuous self. It requires you to let someone else see your entire timeline. Because your timeline is inaccessible behind a firewall, you instinctively keep people at a distance. You might have friends, you might even have a partner, but you always maintain an invisible emotional barrier. Intimacy requires lowering the defenses, and to your nervous system, lowering the defenses feels like a lethal threat. You exhibit hypervigilance. In moments of extreme crisis, you are incredibly calm and calculating, because chaos feels familiar to your biology. But in moments of peace and quiet connection, you feel suffocated and anxious. You suffer from high-functioning loneliness. You are surrounded by people, yet existentially isolated inside a fortress that keeps the pain out, but makes the internal space completely uninhabitable. So, how do you heal from this protective amnesia? Your initial instinct will be to force it. You will try to aggressively dig into your past, desperately trying to break down the vault doors and recover the lost memories through sheer willpower. You believe that if you just remember everything, you will finally be fixed. This is a catastrophic mistake. Forcing memory recall can severely deepen your neural lockdown. The survivor self built that firewall to protect you from overwhelming psychological destruction. If you try to force it open with a battering ram, your amygdala will perceive your own curiosity as a renewed attack. It will flood your system with anxiety, reinforce the dissociation, and lock the vault even tighter. Healing requires absolute safety, not destructive force. You cannot fight your own biology and expect to win. Healing must prioritize gradual integration rather than rapid memory recovery. You must approach your nervous system with radical patience. It starts by grounding yourself in the present moment, creating safe environments, and practicing profound self-compassion. You must prove to your animal brain, day after day, that the war is over, that the environment is finally secure. This means acknowledging the physical tension in your body and gently letting it go. It means seeking trauma-informed support that focuses on building trust slowly. You do not need to recover every single lost memory to become whole. This is the profound reframe you must accept. The absence of your early memories is not a deficit. It is a testament to your brain's powerful, beautiful survival strategy. The void itself is a form of memory. It is the footprint of a mechanism that protected your life at the cost of your emotional fullness. The ultimate step in healing is to recognize the survivor self who locked that door, not as an enemy withholding your past, but as a guardian performing an act of loving protection. When you stop fighting the blankness, when you shift from self-blame to deep compassion, the heavy metabolic drain begins to lift. You gradually allow connection with yourself to emerge, not through force, but through patience. If this clinical breakdown resonated with the silent reality of your life, subscribe to the channel. You are not broken. You executed a perfect survival strategy. Honor the survival. Build the future. See you in the next protocol.